or hey, this new palette might be too glamour for just any old episode of Drag Race. Hey dolls, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 4, Episode 8. And, well, before we dive into it, I would like to send a huge sloppy thank you to my Tipperdoo boyfriend, Vito, who has sent me a couple of Tipperdoos over the last few weeks. So I'm so sorry that I missed you in the interim there, Vito. I don't know what happened. You kind of got tucked in between episodes, but I'm sending you a big sloppy thank you now. I would also like to show off my latest Redbubble model, Chloe Save the Victory Roll Demure, whom you might know from my Unearthly Cosmetics unboxing. I'm going to put a link to it here. She is rocking the Denise Journeau Maple Days design, which is available on my Redbubble store. The link is down below. Looking good, Chloe. Now, Jorge, drink me. Oh, it's the return of cranberry ginger. I don't know why. I must be an old person. This is why I like this. No, it's the vodka. Okay, so let's get to it. Well, the top 5 were emotional over Dakota's elimination. And as sad as Pixie was, she was very proud of herself for showing the other queens what she can do. Too bad, as Danny said, that she did it in that. Speaking of Danny, what was that about her not thinking Dakota or Pixie should go? Naturally, Jonbers couldn't help but assume Danny meant her. She was right. It's like Danny doesn't remember Jonbers doing better than her in the Snatch Game, or being a close second in the Rusical. If you ask me, Pixie has been coasting since day one, and poor Black Peppa seems to be on the downswing as well. I'm just glad Jonbers stood up for herself, seriously. The next day in the workroom, Cheddar surprised everyone by saying she was surprised she made it to top 5. Not that she doubted her talent, she just didn't expect to be able to showcase who she was. Well, who did she think would stop her? Seriously. Black Peppa, on the other hand, never doubted for a second that she would make top 5, but it was very obvious that 4 of the 5 queens were surprised that Jonbers was there. Cue Pixie, the only queen in the top 5 who hasn't won a badge on her own, to say she thought Jonbers should have been in the bottom last week and have gone home. It was a huge debate that didn't amount to a hill of beans because, well, none of the queens, including Jonbers herself, are making any of these important calls. Had their cell phones taken away. Thankfully, Ru arrived to give all the queens an opportunity to put their money where their drag is. I couldn't see any visible reason for Ru's absence last week unless she's a fast healer. Needless to say, the queens were happy to see Ru, and to celebrate the moment, she brought this week's Maxi Challenge, an acting challenge to be precise. This week, the queens will be performing in the Squirrel Games. Woo-hoo-hoo. A mashup of the Squid Games, which I've never seen. Celebrity Big Brother, British version, which is very much better than the US. And standouts from various reality TV shows, all wrapped up in a nutty murder mystery. What? No floor made of lava? Because Cheddar won last week, she got to assign the roles, which were model and businesswoman Minxie, the winner of Lust Isle, who has over 20 million followers on Instagram. Now, I've never watched Love Island because, well, I have way better porn on my computer, but I'm assuming this is a parody on the endless parade of vapid, overworked lumps of silicone that get paraded on a show like that. No offense. Both Danny and Cheddar wanted to take a crack at Minxie, and, well, because she got to choose, Cheddar took Minxie for herself. Rightly so. Well done, Cheddar. That left Danny to her second choice, Davina Dickall. Blatant send-up of Davina McCall, the original host of Big Brother in the UK. Next was Kimmy Boo Burn, and just from the name, you knew this was a shout-out to consummate cleaner and reality show villain, Kimmy Woodburn. In fact, the reality show she was a villain on was Celebrity Big Brother, and all those impressions that everyone does of her calling everyone a vile little bitch stem from her appearance on that show. I don't hate Kim Woodburn, but God, was she a bitch, which is probably why Pixie picked it. Contestant 3 was Bev Gravels, who sounds like someone who won Survivor or Naked and Alone or some such thing, and was snapped up by Black Peppa, who I think was hoping that she would be growling all her lines. Contestant 4 was Sassy and Fugly the dog, which I took to be a spoof of that little girl, Darcy Lynn, on America's Got Talent, who did the ventriloquist act with the rabbit, got a standing ovation. Mel B gave her the golden buzzer. Sounds dirty. It's a lot to live up to is all I'm saying, but Jonbers jumped all over it because of a dream she had. Apparently, she had a dream where she played a dog. Or maybe she was treated like a dog. I wasn't really listening. I was thinking about how most of my dreams involve college football teams spiking me in the end zone. What? For the most part, it seems like everyone got the parts they wanted. Well, except maybe for Danny. Then, quick as you like, the final 5 were on set, ready to film the Squirrel Games with director Michelle Visage, who was giving everyone the double cold shoulder. Although, those shoulders didn't look very cold. What with all that spray tan on them. Danny was up first and immediately started whinging that they'd only got the scripts a couple of hours ago. Looks like somebody shouldn't have been so worried about the rest of the room's acting skills and focused on memorizing a line or two, is what I thought watching Danny try to nail her scenes. Painful. You know, I was kidding when I said that Peppa thought she could growl all her lines, but that's exactly what she did, and no matter how much Michelle told her to tone it down, Peppa didn't. Seriously, if anyone is making this face while you're acting, stop. Poor Cheddar. I thought she was doing a great job impersonating a Brit. Seriously, her accent was all over the place, bless her. I'm still trying to understand why Peppa didn't just use her own lovely Birmingham accent. It's adorable, isn't it? My fingerdoos were crossed for Jonbers, and, well, she seemed to do okay, except that she kept calling Fugly the dog Pugly. Maybe that's why in her dream, the dog went, huh? I have to admit, I did enjoy watching the Queen of the Eye Roll stumble through her scenes after all her side-eyeing the other Queen's thespian talents. Not that her Kim Woodburn wasn't fabulous when she got the lines right. Oh! All in all, I wasn't holding my breath to see if this made more sense on the small screen, but one thing was obvious. The editors would be working overtime trying to piece together all those takes, bless their hearts. I couldn't agree with Cheddar more when she pointed out how badly the top 5 performed during this challenge. I wanted to. The next day, as they were getting ready for the runway, the Queen's thoughts drifted to family and friends. Since Jonbers talks to her parents 3 or 4 times a week, she was definitely missing hers. Bet her parents were enjoying the break, though, don't you think? 3 or 4 times a week? I loved hearing Danny's story about her dad borrowing a pink fire truck for Danny to do Liverpool Pride. Really touching. I mean, how often does a father get an opportunity to borrow a pink fire truck? Pixie had the right attitude. She was going to buy her father a Ferrari when she was famous. She does know there's no cash prize if she wins this, right? Peppa was missing her family in Birmingham, and so she should. From the sounds of it, those fabulous friends of hers are not only supportive and loving, they also see Peppa for who she is and who she's capable of being. And now, as Pixie pointed out, she has her drag race family. I may barf. On the main stage, Rue was back and looking gorgeous even in that wig. Someone else who looked absolutely gorgeous was Michelle Visage rocking that vintage Hollywood glam. Alan Carr was back looking freshly powdered in blue, and joining the judges this week, celebrity baker and international beauty, Lorraine Pascal. Category is rough and ready. Danny Beard was first, rocking her signature silhouette, but now with ruffles. And then she turned around. I didn't recognize her. No offense, but kudos to Danny for showing variety in her makeup on that runway. This was high glam. How could I not give her a Fingerdoo? Seriously. I was torn on Cheddar's runway. I liked her story more than I liked the outfit itself. The whole look was an ode to the Pansy Project, which I think is a great initiative, but that doesn't mean it translates into fashion. Not that it was an ugly look. I just thought it swallowed her up a bit, and if she didn't have those long, gorgeous legs, it probably would have. So I gave her a Fingerdoo. She'd been shorter, though, I'll tell you what. I agree with Pixie. It's too bad that Cheddar had just done a Queen Elizabeth I look in such an iconic way, because I did feel it diminished the impact of Pixie's runway. Plus, for a ruffled runway, this look had more pearls on it than ruffles. That said, her hair and makeup were lovely. So I gave her a pinky doo, a little one. Black Peppa's denim clown was gorgeous. There were ruffles, there were sequins, and even though she was wearing a facekini, it still left a lot of room for Pep to recreate the look of her sequin fabric in her eye makeup. Oh, Fingerdoo for Peppa. Also, check out her Insta. She's got some great pics of this fabulous look. Seriously. Speaking of fabulous looks, Jonbers Blonde did not lie when she said her signature look is fashion. She proved it with a capital F, you heard me, with this stunning look. The asymmetrical duster coat, that fabulous hat, and let's just talk about her makeup. I loved how she carried the green tones of her look into her gorgeous eye makeup. Seriously, if there was ever a moment to whip out a look like this was it. Fingerdoo for Jonbers, seriously. And then it was the premiere of the Squirrel Games. As a whole, I didn't like this challenge. There was just too much going on. Plus, I don't understand how it was a murder mystery when everyone could see the squirrel was doing all the killing. Was I expecting too much? I wish Jonbers had been clear that she was a ventriloquist by doing 2 different voices, but, well, she didn't. Danny was doing what Danny does best, but I'm starting to get bored of that. I'd have liked to have seen Danny surprise us with a new character. Just saying. Pixie seemed to be the only queen who was doing a full-blown impersonation, and even though that impersonation was great, well, it didn't seem to help her performance, bless her heart. Cheddar killed it as a self-centered social media queen. From that ridiculous makeup to, well, whatever that accent was she settled on, I was pleasantly surprised. Seriously. As for what the judges thought, well, Danny was a clear fave. From her curvy, glamorous runway to her broad performance, see what I did there, even Ru said she set the tone for the whole challenge. Doesn't get much better than that, I'm so serious. Jonbers, on the other hand, didn't seem to perform as well in the challenge. Michelle admitted that doing 2 characters at the same time can be difficult, and her voice didn't really change between them, but who cares what Michelle thought when there's Ru telling Jonbers that this is the best look to ever walk the runway on Drag Race UK. Jonbers, well done. Who cares if you can act? There was no denying that Cheddar Gorgeous was on her way to a 4th Peter badge. Not only was her performance a laugh riot as far as Ru was concerned, but Lorraine Pascal couldn't say enough about how chic Cheddar's runway was. Starting to look like all the weeks are good weeks to be Cheddar. Seriously, here's to her too. Well done, Cheds. Pixie got praise for her Kim Woodburn, but Michelle felt she didn't get any Pixie in the performance. Well, I should hope not. She was doing an impersonation. Thankfully, Alan pointed out it's hard to inject anything into a Kim Woodburn impersonation because, well, she's so iconic. As for Pixie's runway, even though it's a look that's been done before, Ru said she was impressed with Pixie and her look. Ru even admitted to actually following Pixie on social media and was aware of the effort she was making on the runway. Who else was shocked to hear that RuPaul follows, well, anyone for that matter? Just me? Next up was Black Peppa, and the judges all agreed she bit the banooch in the challenge by being at 11 and yelling at everyone. But her saving grace again was her runway. It was also the umpteenth time Ru observed that Peppa put more thought into her runway than her performance. Well, that's not good. Back in the workroom, Jonbers was on cloud 9 thanks to Ru's comments, and although Pep was pleased for her runway's reception, she was sure she was going to be in the bottom. In an effort to lift Peppa up, John Bruce said they all deserved to be there. Cue the side-eye from the other queens again. But before John Bruce could tilt at that windmill, the queens were interrupted by the arrival of a TV screen. Well, you know what that means. Someone's getting a message from home. Where are my tissues? And I wasn't wrong. On the screen was John Bruce's family. Needless to say, John Bruce cried herself an emotional river while the rest of the queens lusted after her hot brother. Hey! But it didn't stop there. Everyone got a message from home. Peppa's best friend, Pixie's parents, Cheddar's lovely boyfriend, Danny's partner Joe, and their little dog too. All in all, it was a pleasant distraction from the task at hand, but it was still a lip sync to survive. Back on the main stage, Ru announced that the winner this week was Cheddar Gorgeous. Again! 3 in a row, 4 in total. Here's to Chads! Well done. As expected, it was John Bruce, Pixie, and Black Peppa in the bottom, but no one was happier that it was Peppa and John Bruce who had to lip sync for their lives than Pixie. Seriously. This was a great lip sync to Booty Love's Some Kind of Rush. Both queens had very different styles, and I wish that John Bruce had left the ruffled duster and hat on because her outfit wasn't as impressive without it. I thought her performance would have been more dramatic too, whipping around that organza fantasy. Plus, who else thought her wig was just a little bit too high up on her forehead? Just me? Also, I bet you didn't think Organza Fantasy was my drag queen name in high school. Well, it was. If it were down to me as to which queen won, I would have to say that it was Peppa who had the more energetic lip sync. So did Ru, which is why it's no surprise to me that she told Pep to Shantae. What did surprise me was Ru telling John Bruce to Shantae too. I guess that's what you get for wearing Ru's favorite runway outfit in the history of Drag Race UK. Here's to John Bruce and to Black Peppa. Good for them. What about you? Is Ru just putting off the inevitable where John Bruce is concerned, or do you think John Bruce's sleeping giant has finally been awakened? And is it even enough? What about Peppa? Is she circling the drain, or will Pixie plug it up first? And look at Cheddar Gorgeous. 4 badges total, and her last 3 were 1 in a row. Will this put a fire under Danny Beard's padded ass, or could her insecurities get the upper hand? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And while you're down there, you heard me, please help me get more views on YouTube by giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing to my channel if you haven't, and if you would like to support this channel even more, there are links in the description box for getting Wilma merch in my Redbubble store, becoming a Tipperdoo, or joining the Fingerdoo family on Patreon. Until next time, it's me! Seriously. Oh my god, a double Shantae. You know what? I was so proud of Ru this season. Normally, if there's a double Shantae, it happens before this. And I don't know, I just had lulled into a false sense of no double Shantaes, and then there it is. I'm glad, though. It was breaking my heart because in the lip sync, I really did feel that Peppa outdid John Bruce. I don't know, she's intriguing. I think that Ru sees it too. I think there's something about John Bruce that's intriguing. If Ru can give her one more go, and maybe that's the one where she really, Fingerdoo's crossed for John Bruce. I'm also starting to worry for Danny Beard. Not because I think Danny Beard needs worrying over, but Cheddar's really kind of taking the show by the hoo-hoos, and it's hard for queens. I felt the same thing during season 1 with the Vivian, where you reach a point in the show where it's like, well, it's obvious that person's winning, so what am I watching? I really do hope that Cheddar Gorgeous wins, because I think she deserves it just based on what she's done on the show, but also I think, as a queen in Britain, she's really, really well respected and known. So hopefully, I think that's why you don't see a lot of established queens go on Drag Race. That what if they don't win, or what if they don't place high? Will it reflect on them as a performer? And I always say no, because you know, competition's different than performing. You know, you're working with a lot of different moving parts. I'm good with one moving part. You know what? I'm good with no moving parts. If I could just lie there, stare, that's